It's MJ, and today we're gonna review the mouse. And I kind of want to do this video because the mouse is like it has its own niche in which it has a lot of HP, and then it also has a decent armor profile. So basically, what you want to do is be the spearhead of any push that your team does, and I think this game is gonna highlight it perfectly. Just because what I'm gonna do here is by no means like you should do this in no other tank except German heavies, and especially the mouse, just because you're almost at 3.2k HP, which allows you to do some risky maneuvers even if you do get punished for it. So right now I'm just gonna go down to this one little area on Castillo, just because I like this position for a lot of like heavily armored tanks, just because they can't get punished from TDs necessarily that sit in the back, and they also spot any tank that tries to cross to our spawn area. And right now we're gonna spot both E100s, and we're actually gonna get a nice shot in this E100 on the vision port. So we're gonna hit the E100, but right now all I have to go off is these E100s, their position. Unfortunately, our E75, he takes a risky play, goes out sideways, and he gets cleared, which means that if he bled that much HP already, there has to be a TD in the far back in Sector 3. So right now, I'm thinking of progressing, just because my main worry is if there's meds at Castilla that can be farming our TDs. So right now I'm gonna repair my driver just so that I'm fully operable, and I start getting my repair time down. So somebody pings the map that there's people in Sector 4, so I'm actually gonna start moving here, and you're gonna see me. I'm gonna get flogged a little right here. I'm gonna get hit by a TD in the back, 701 HP, which could be any of the 3 TDs, which makes me think that, all right, there's at least one. I only got hit once, which means that there's got to be another tank somewhere along Sector 1 and Sector 2 as far as TDs. So right now I'm just angling up so that I don't get punished. I'm going to use this rock to hide myself from the TD, just so that he doesn't flog me again. The 268, he's actually in that bush, which means that as long as I hug this hill, like hillish mountain, I'm going to be safe from him. So right now I'm going to go after the IS-8, and right now I'm expecting that I'm going to get hit from the left, which I do. Grill hits me, but he does get spotted, and he's going to drop down, which is perfect, because now he's no longer pressuring my teammates from behind. And right now you're just seeing how the mouse, even though I lost a bunch of HP, it's going to open up the entire flank for my team to progress. So right now I'm just angling up. I'm trying not to bleed any more HP, especially against that 268, because I know that if he is running calibrated or even normal 380 millimeters of heat, he's going to go right through my front plate. So I'm just going to try to angle up. He's unfortunately going to pen, and he's going to set me on fire, which is a shame. But you know, I am still in this fight. The mouse can do the mouse can do a lot of things even at 243 HP. So right now my team's going to progress. The standard, he's going to be very aggressive. I kind of wanted him to wait for either the E3 or me to push up, but he's going to push up. He's going to lose a bunch of HP. I'm going to use the E3 as cover because I know that the 268 is going for me. And just like you saw there, he tried to HE me, but he hit the E3 instead. Right now I'm gonna start aiming at the E100. Right now I'm a little bit worried of where these other tanks are, but I really want this team to just, you know, go clear the targets in front of them, but that's not gonna happen. So right now I'm just staying here. I'm not backing up all the way because I know that there's tanks that could be behind me, especially like the Centurion 7-1 or the E4, because he hasn't been spotted all game. So Standard B says take a hit, which I agree. I think the E3, he should try to go after one tank. Behind us we spot the Grill. He gets absolutely nuked by our allied Grill, which is perfect because I needed that tank out of the game in order to make any risky moves. So right now I'm thinking of progressing with the team. However, I really just need both the Grill and the Standard to go after this 268. However, they're not going to, so I'm not going to risk it. And, you know, if that Centurion was fully maxed out, he would have cleared me. However, he's not, but that's perfect for me just because I know even with a stock gun, he's not going to be able to pen me reliably. So I'm just going to angle up here, going to angle up the hull and the turret, simultaneously, and unfortunately 268, he's going to pop out and he's going to take me out, which is unfortunate. But yeah, right there, even though I did die and I didn't do a ton of damage, it just highlighted how the mouse in like stalemates can push through and open up games into like a winnable scenario. I lost or bled all my HP, but I was still able to basically secure the flank just because I allowed my teammates that couldn't take hits to push up and not get bled while they were pushing. So yeah, that really just highlights just how powerful the mouse is in scenarios like that. And turns out the E4 was AFK, so it was a little bit easier win than I anticipated. But yeah, that game was just one of the 3 games I'll be showing, just highlighting how effective the mouse can be, because mouse can also hold entire flanks. And yeah, so for this game we got a second class 3.3k damage. We did do second most damage, but once again the mouse isn't meant to do damage, so I did my job that game, and you're going to see other examples in the next coming games. Alright, we're in the second game now, and we're playing the mouse on Naval Frontier. And right now I'm looking at the enemy lineup as far as what they do have, and I'm seeing a T-22, T-62A, a T-95E6, and a WZ-120 as far as tanks that could push to the right of me along Sector 9 and Sector 6. So I'm a little worried about that. However, you're going to see in this game just how aggressive the mouse can be if it has support. So right now I'm actually thinking I don't want to go left just because I don't want to brawl the heavies if there's a convoy looking over them. So I'm actually going to push here. T-62A, he's going to poke on me just because he didn't expect it, and I'm going to take off a big chunk of HP for him. And now I'm just angling up, doing standard mouse things just because I don't want to get penned or lose HP while I'm pushing up. And you're going to see what the mouse can do in this one scenario. I do on the move shot, and unfortunately we missed, but right now we spot the T-95E6 and the T-62A up top, which is perfect because now I know that there's not as many tanks that could be pushing along Sector 6 and Sector 9, and we're going to see the 120, he's going to get spotted, and the T-95E6, he's going to drop down. The one tank I am worried about is the T-95E6, just because he has the heat pen if he's running calibrated to just go through my front plate. And so right now I'm just going to start bleeding these guys. I'm going to slap the 120 for 526 health, and this 120 is actually going to push me. What I should have did there was ram him, because now he's just going to get to my side and it's going to be annoying. But right now I'm not too worried about him. But I'm going to try to get a shot, but he's actually small enough to where I can't get the gun down. So, you know, a lot of players struggle with that. So right now I'm going to ignore the 120, and I'm just going to clear the T-62A above me. And you're going to see using terrain to scrape people off of you if they're side hugging you or hugging your rear. I use the one pillar to basically get the 120 off my side, and I actually clear him. So right there you just saw effective clearing of targets. You don't want to always go for the healthiest target. If you go for the healthiest target all the time, you're actually going to open yourself up to more losses. So it's always important, if you are in a brawl, to clear the less health tank, just because it basically takes out another gun out of the fight. So like with the T-62A, that's almost 3.5k DPM, and to have that running around even at a one shot is deadly, and you don't want to leave it be. So right now you just saw in that one game how effective the mouse is when you put it into a position where it can excel in. Putting it in that middle position, which there was only one TD, which is a convoy, which is if he is running the derp gun or the Hesh gun many people call it, it's not going to pen me reliably, so I was more than comfortable to push up to that very aggressive position. And right now I'm just going to, start taking shots for these guys. T-22, he's going to bounce me. T-95E6 is the only one that's reliably bouncing me. I believe the T95E6, yeah, he's gonna bounce a heat round, and right now I'm just gonna aim for the cupola. I'm gonna load APCR just because the T95E6's cupola is a little troll at times because there's auto bounce angles on the sides of it. And right now I'm just gonna, I'm gonna finish up this T22, and that game, although once again, like, it wasn't insane for damage, 3.5k, but at the same time the mouse isn't meant to do damage, and like most mouse gameplays, I got a steel wall, another second class, but I did do top damage. But that game really just highlighted that if you are aware of where these tanks are, you can put the mouse into an effective pivot position in which it could take care of enemies at multiple angles and just really draw the fire from the enemy team so that your team can push. The third and final game of my mouse how-to basics, and this game it's really going to highlight just how another example of how aggressive the mouse can be. So right now in Yamato Harbor, I'm kind of tempted to go mid just because the mouse, like I said, it's just a hit point sponge, so you kind of just want to absorb all the damage you can. So you're gonna see me go mid right here. Right now I'm looking at the enemy lineup, and there's mainly 2 tanks that I'm worried about as far as that I can meet. There's 263 and then the ML2, just because those tanks, they have outstanding pen. ML2 has good pen on its heat rounds. So right now I'm gonna spot up here, but right now I'm actually pretty safe just because the enemy team, I got this mound here, and the enemy team's all in front of me. Thankfully none of them went mid, because then I would have to change up how I'm playing this. So right now they're actually just going to keep on crossing, and I'm just going to get shots in. I'm going to go for the 263 just because he's the more dangerous target to me than the ML2. So right now I'm actually going to move up here just because I want to support the Foch, and I also have TDs that are sitting in the usual TD position on Yamato. If you look to my right, they're in sector 2, I'm in sector 1 about. So right now I'm actually just I'm gonna push up here. I'm gonna direct all the fire that these tanks have onto me. I'm gonna angle up, and you're just gonna see that this tank, if you angle it up correctly, it just starts bouncing like crazy. So right now I'm gonna go for the ML right now just because I have no other shot. I'm not really worried about the IS-8. I'm more worried about this ML2. The IS-8 bounces for 400, which means that he does have the stock gun, so I'm actually not that worried about him anymore. ML, he's going to get taken out. He just sat in front of me. That's fine by me. But right now I'm just going to start angling up again to this 263. He does pen. I did expect him to pen just because his gun pens a lot of tanks. So I'm actually just going to back up here. I'm going to start angling up again. Angle up the front plate and whatnot. He's actually just going to stay there, which is perfect for me. So this time, even if I do get penned, I'm just going to take it. He actually bounces. I'm going to load an AP so I guarantee the pen, or not guarantee the pen, but guarantee the kill, just because APCR on this tank for some reason tends to low roll. So I'm going to bounce the AMX M4, which is fine just because I'm just going to angle up. I still have more HP than him. IS-8, he's not a threat to me because I just looked over in the top left corner when he was spotted. He does have the stock gun, so I'm not that worried about him. I'm more worried about this Leopard because he notices me. I notice him. We get a nice snapshot into him. We clear him, and right there, most of their tanks that were pushing or were on their team were pushing to our spawn along the boat. So right there, you just saw that this tank can just hold entire flanks if it does have support fire. And that's why this tank also is like really good in tournaments, just because you can rely on your teams a lot more in tournaments just because you know that they're all good players. So you can actually, basically, you can reliably push in a mouse or just reliably hold a position in a mouse without like worrying about getting taken out. Mouse in pubs is a little bit harder just because you can't always rely on your teammates, so you gotta rely on yourself to angle up and conserve as much HP as possible. But yeah, this game really highlighted just how powerful the mouse is if you put it in a scenario where it can excel in, such as flat ground terrain areas. But yeah, that was the third and final game, but I hope this mouse review helped you, and I'll see you in the next video.